He What's up, people? What's up? Welcome to another edition of Steady Droppin Dimes. Glad to be with you as always, and a fun and festive week. And, you would think on a day or an evening, I should say, where there is big basketball news, huge basketball news, that the basketball guy would be on dropping dimes. Now, you could drop dimes on the football field, but when you think dropping dimes, you actually think the basketball court first. Don't you, DG? Don't you think that?
I'm going to be completely honest. When you say dropping dimes, the way you're dropping dimes with the apostrophe at the end, that's basketball, man. I'm sorry. As much as I want it to be, but it's basketball. It is what it is.
I mean, you would think that Daniel Horton would be on the show. I mean, I was on the MGO blog roundtable. Daniel Horton was in the chat, and we were celebrating Yaxel Lendeborg coming to Michigan, and all the chatters are like, hey, man, why is Daniel making all of these comments? Like, all the salt in the, it's like, man, he peeing in the Cheerios. He's like, oh, man. Oh, y'all trying to say that Michigan beat the NBA for he really beat the NBA for Yaxel? Come on, y'all. What y'all talking about? They ain't really beat the NBA for Yaxel. Come on now. What y'all talking about? They're like, dang, Daniel, what you talking about? Come on, man. We're supposed to be celebrating, Daniel. What's up?
I'm going to tell you what it is. He be hating. He be hating. Daniel, why you hating, man? Celebrate that, man, because from everything that I've seen, I haven't gotten a chance to watch him hoop for real, but from everything I've seen is he played well amongst NBA talent, guys that are going to NBA, and you told me this, that he was solidified first rounder. To get him in the fold, what is there to be salty about? What is there to not be happy about? I think that's something you should be happy about. And the other thing that you should really celebrate is how it happened, right? Where Dusty may say, I want the best dude. And Michigan got behind him and said, we're going to go get you the best dude. I mean, what more can you ask for? You know what it is? Daniel wanted to pick him. Daniel wanted to personally handpick the guy that's going to go and do the deal. That's what he wanted to do.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, we decided to do the show, and the basketball guy not here on the show.
The basketball savant.
Now, the truth of the matter is hold on, the people chiming in.
Oh,
Keita
no.
Ray said Daniel absolutely be hating.
He be hating, man. He be hating.
The people know. Daniel, the people have spoken. I mean, like
Daniel is like the grouch. Like, he's not happy with anything. I mean, not because for me, I like to, I like to be not so much ride the fence, but like I like to see both perspectives, right? So I thought sometimes I could come off as maybe a hater, which I don't know. I don't think so, but I'm weary of that, No, pales in comparison to Daniel and his takes on literally anything. Daniel hate all things except for Cynthia Cooper. Only thing Daniel like is Cynthia Cooper. That's the only thing you can get Daniel to be cool with.
He be yeah.
Or any old women basketball player.
You're not gonna even bring up the Caitlin Clark conversation, like, bro.
Did you see the thing I sent you? where they are.
All I got was sending this to Daniel. It wasn't nothing else in the text.
Oh, bro, I ain't sent it. Oh no,
nothing else in there. So,
but somebody tagged us on Twitter saying that the WNBA is Caitlin Clark is worth $1 billion to the WNBA. And obviously, we don't need that information to know these things. But Daniel just needs some kind of proof, I guess. I don't know. I don't get it. He be hating.
Yeah. But we love it. We love the brother.
That's why we love him, because he be hating. We know we're going to have a good show of going back and forth about something that we should not be going back and forth about because he be hating.
Like, and I mean, you can have the best of intentions. Like, I could bring up a topic
where you think this is a brush my topic.
Right, yeah. Topics that I'm going to put together a topic that me and Daniel can agree on. Like, Luka getting
wrong
is like, everybody agrees this is a horrific trade that is what going to go down as one of the worst trades we've seen. Me and Daniel can agree on that. We can vibe on that, and we can move on.
Wrong.
And I bring it up, and he's like, "What are you talking about, Sam? But this ain't not. It's not a horrific."
In the words of the great philosopher DJ Khaled, you played yourself. Congratulations. You thought you had something to agree on, and you played yourself.
And I'm like, man, what are you talking about? Hey, man, did you know we talked for an hour on that? I'm like, Daniel, come on, man.
Hey, do you remember when you told me that? I'm just like, what? What are you talking about? I thought you were joking. Until I got on, and he was, they say 10 toes down. 10 toes down.
And he was like, Sam, this is fake, right?
Yeah. He got to be just doing this for the clicks. He got to be doing this to get more people views. And if he's doing that, I appreciate him, because, we want everybody to watch. But then it's like, wait, everybody watch anyway. Why is he doing this? It's crazy.
But we love the brother. We love the brother. Contrarian as hell.
Happy birthday to Mrs. Horton.
Yeah, but
happy birthday.
That is the truth. So to be clear, I'm just messing with it because he gonna watch this like, oh, come on, man. Y'all telling the people that I'm just ducking the show because I don't want me. I'm not happy about Yaxel. And I think y'all blowing it up saying Michigan did more than they really did.
That's only 2% of it. It's 2% in there though. It's 2% Axel. 98% is his wife's birthday.
Right. It's his wife's birthday, and he's taking his wife out tonight, which he should.
But that 2% in there though.
Yeah, but
that is 2% Yaxel. He be hating.
He would have been on here saying they didn't really beat the NBA. And the NBA didn't. He said, oh, so y'all saying Dusty out-recruited the NBA? And Daniel.
I mean, let's just break that down for a second. The kid had a chance to go to the NBA, and he decided to go not to the school he was already at. He decided to go to Michigan with I mean, that essentially is what happened. I mean, obviously, semantics, whatever, but that seems like what's happening, I
guess the point that I was making was that Dusty, first of all, he said when he came on the show, and welcome to Steady Droppin Dimes. Let me give all the pleasantries out the way. And see, this is how we talk. We go back and forth. That was the premise of the show. We give you guys how we talk to each other. We bring it to you minus all the swear words.
Right? Who be swearing? Not me.
Come on now. I mean, the Fox executives are not listening at this point.
Hey, listen, man. It is sometimes, a expletive, if you will, may slip out here or there.
So we bring it to you guys, minus the swear words, the banter, the true sports talk, the true opinions, mostly focused on Michigan. But of course, we like to span the sports topics. It is brought to you by our great sponsors, like our friends at the Ann Arbor Sports Commission, who bring a lot of great sporting events to Washtenaw County. They're the ones who commissioned the great study about the economic impact of Michigan football that we brought to you last week. $226 million worth of impact of Michigan football, right? This week, the conversation with the Ann Arbor Sports Commission is going to be about another great event that they're bringing to Washtenaw County. From the NAIA, the National Golf Championship on the women's side. So we're going to be talking about that. That one, another economic boom to Washtenaw County that we're going to be telling you about. So that's a little bit later on in the show. And then our friends at Golden Limo, the support that they offer here to NIL support to student athletes at the University of Michigan. Told you about how Sean Duvall has tabbed our friend Zeke Berry as the NIL ambassador for Golden Limo this year.
And let me just for a second, couldn't have picked a better guy. As much as, I don't know how much they know about, like, just like most college kids, and it's probably going to get worse now just because of the pressures of money and all those different things. And but before all the money, you had a lot of pressure to perform from home, right? And so think about me. I got a chance to go to Michigan where I live, right? I'm from Detroit, so I get a chance to go to Michigan. So home's not that far away. And, those pressures aren't as drastic because it's like, well, I am home. I can't go home, right, when I feel like things aren't going right, or I can't give up. And so for Zeke Berry, he had an opportunity to go home, right? And for him to stick it out in this age, right? And today, back in the day, it was cool. Like, it wasn't no transfer portal and all those different things, right? So of course you had to stick it out, right? You really didn't have a choice. So you had to grow as a man, as a player. But for him, with the option of transfer portal and with the I'm sure he's making plays in practice. He's talking back home, and everybody back home is saying, well, why you ain't playing, man? You all the way out there. You need to come back. And for him to stick it out, change positions, play with, unbelievable. I'm very excited to see how he performs this next year. But I don't think there's a better person to have been the representative to take over the mantle for Golden Limo. Outstanding choice by Duval.
Yeah, and a dude who bet on himself.
Yeah.
Didn't have a sure position.
That's tough. That's tough to do, man. That's tough to do. People don't want to bet on themselves for the smallest things. This is life-altering bet on yourself, and obviously it worked out. But the credit goes to him and his work and making sure that he puts himself in position. And when he got the opportunity that he had so wanted, and I'm sure that he dreamed of since he was a little kid, he took advantage of it. And now everything is roses. You're gonna be with me on the 15th. Everything's gonna be kicking.
Yeah, man. I'm proud of him, man. I'm proud of him. Super proud of him because it was not guaranteed. And talking to his brother, man, I know his brother was like hard on him. Brother Dante was like, hey, man, I know he could do it, pushing. It wasn't promised, but know he can do it. He got out there. And it was early in the season, man. It was a rough go. It was some MAs out there.
Yeah, it felt like everybody in the whole Michigan, lore, everybody from that believes and loves Michigan football was kind of blaming him almost.
Yeah.
Right. And like everybody was pouring on former players, fans, just casual fans. Everybody was pouring on this kid, and for him to stand tall and stand strong, that was very impressive.
Yeah, and you think about it, and and some of it, I'm sure
was warranted.
Was warranted.
Yeah, right. Of course.
Made some mistakes, and you realize, man, that nickel position, one of the toughest positions on defense, and you talk to him, it seems counterintuitive. You would think that corner is tougher than nickel. Corner might be tougher, and he kind of talked about this. Said corner might be more demanding physically from the standpoint of, the physical demands that you gotta be able to turn and run with a guy.
Yeah.
Right. So that is more physically demanding. It taxes you in a way that other positions might not, but the mental preparation that goes into the nickel position, you got to know more at corner.
Yeah. Think about a nickel and corner this way. Corner, you play corner, right? You play corner, you play zone, you play cover three, you play man, whatever you do, right? Chase a guy, whatever the case may be. Of course, you do get a chance to see the best player on the field usually, right? The best receiver on the field. At nickel, you play linebacker, you play sometimes rush in, you play safety, and you play corner without the help of a sideline. That's tough, dude. That is tough. You got to tackle the 230-pound dude. You got to run with the small, shifty slot receiver. You got to make sure you get in there and make tackles, rush the passer, get the ball off the quarterback. It is a lot to do, and I think people appreciated him, but even with the appreciation, I think he was still underappreciated, Mikey Sanders still. His ability to play that position the way he did, going up against guys that were much bigger, tackling guys, being in the mix. It's a very difficult thing. So nickels all around the world. That's why they pay good money for nickels too. people like, man, he's not even a starter. He started in nickel, and nickel's hard. Jordan Lewis still in the NFL right now, just signed with the Jaguars for big money. So it's a tough position. And, I feel like everybody poured on him as if it was easy. And for him to be able to have the courage, right, to stick with it, continue to fight, continue to battle, because as much as you say ignore the noise, that's unrealistic in 2025. There's no way he didn't see on any given Monday that his play is being analyzed, critiqued, without knowing the defense or whatever, just pouring on him and making it seem like he's the real problem, which, like you said, some of it was warranted. Sometimes he was in the wrong spot or whatever the case may be. But does he not get grace? When have you seen Zeke Berry playing football? This is his first chance on this huge stage, right, with the weight of the world on his back, and he wasn't able to perform to the expectations of fans. And trust me, if he couldn't perform to the expectations of you, think about his own expectations of himself, right? If you think you expect more of him than him, you're crazy.
And then they say, all right, Zeke, now Will Johnson's injured. We need you to move the corner, and Oregon's coming to town.
Oregon. Do you know the Muffin Man that lives on Drury Lane? Yes, Oregon is coming to town. That's crazy.
And he goes out, holds his own against Oregon, and plays corner the rest of the year, and gets better with every game.
Every game.
Proud of the.
I remember the game I had, Northwestern Michigan, obviously, and they threw a pass, and I'm talking about he is in perfect position, flawless. It's underthrown. He's even in position for that. And some kind of circus catch where it bounced on. And I'm like, man, he can't catch a break. But that was just still short memory, moved on to the next play, obviously played well the entire game. It was super impressive to watch the whole maturation. He was like I wouldn't say sitcom, like a TV show where the character development is impeccable. Right? Those are the great shows, right? He had great character development in the show that was Michigan football 2024.
So it builds into why he's a great pick for the NIL ambassador for Golden Limo, but it builds into the broader topic that we have for the show today. So Michigan laid it down in two sports. All right. They went out and got the number one player on the board in football in one Mr. Bryce Underwood. And they went out and got the number one player in the portal in Yaxel Lendeborg. So that says two things. Number one, you did some outstanding recruiting. Like you gotta be able to run the recruiting race. You gotta be forging some relationships. You gotta be connecting with folks in ways that people don't really know. You gotta have some fortitude. You gotta have some endurance. You gotta be resilient. In the case of Dusty May, he's like, hey man, I'm gonna bring the dude in on an official visit. Hey, how you bringing him in on official? People they panned on that. Like, this don't even make no sense.
He going to NBA.
He going to the NBA. This is It's like this don't even mean anything. Like, I remember we were talking about it on one of the shows, and I was like, man, the dude looks like he's having a good time. And some of the commentary, he was like, hey, it's not a foregone conclusion that I'm gonna go to the NBA. I'm feeling like he started to say it's like 60-40. I'm coming to Michigan. That's how he started talking. When at the beginning, he was like 80-20 NBA. And he was like, hey, the college was like a fallback. If I get a guaranteed deal, I'm going. That's like if somebody tell me I'm going in the first round, I'm out. And the calculus started shifting as he got to know more about Michigan. He got to know the coaches more. And then, Devin, the coaches went to the combine where he's killing it, but they're there supporting him. And it's like, Now, I haven't talked to him about this, but I know I'm just trying to put myself in his shoes. I can't obviously.
Recruiting masterclass is what it sounds like to me.
You know what? So I put those words in the contest, in the description.
What I just said?
What you recruiting masterclass?
Oh, wow.
Is in the contents of the Basketball Insider with Tim McCormick.
Yeah.
Dusty May's recruiting masterclass is exactly what we said about.
Sam, get out my head, man. Come on, man.
Man.
Get out my head, man.
Exactly what he said.
Wow.
Goes to the combine, Devin. The entire staff, and they're there supporting him. Come on, man. That's like, hey, if you
How would that make you feel? I feel like, I mean, they did go do something with less last year. I could go. I mean, I don't know if his talent makes him the number one pick if he plays good enough, but anything can happen, right? We've seen guys shoot up the board because they have a great year. And when you're older, right, you're naturally better, right? Unless you get like passed over the hill, past the prime. But as a young player, as you get older, you continue to get better. And for him to be able to improve his draft stock, I think that's very attractive, right? It's being picked 30th and being picked top 5 or lottery top 15. That's a big deal. That's a big difference, in my opinion. And so I'm sure he looked at that as well. It's like, man, I got this support, the backing. And even though he may not get a degree from the University of Michigan, guess what? He just became a Michigan man, right? And so you got the backing of the whole Michigan family. I mean, I don't see why he wouldn't make the decision that he made. He seems like a very intelligent kid, obviously.
Yeah, man. That
young man.
That was a, like you said, recruiting masterclass, as if to say, if my path leads me away from them, they're like, we're gonna be here to support you like you played.
Yeah, because you one of ours right now, as far as we're concerned, right? If you're one of ours, and we're gonna treat you as such.
Yeah, that's real. That's real recruiting. That's real relationship building. And then I'm telling you, like, if I don't know him, but he's looking at their development. Now, he was projected, like they were talking about him moving up the board. So they were talking about him being like mid-20s. They're talking about Danny Wolf getting drafted like, mid-teens to like number 20, number 21. If you're Yaxel, you're like, hey man, I'm talking about being picked around him now. Man, if I go get developed by Michigan for a year,
tutelage. Because Danny Wolf was not being spoken of in that light.
Yeah, imagine if I go work with them and they did this with him, and they talking about him being picked around me now. Yeah. Man, I go work with them for a year, I'm probably a lottery pick. Probably is what he's thinking. And the money, because Dusty's already said, oh, we got second round money. We got that. Second round money, he was crunching the numbers. It's like between 1.5 and 2.5 million. So we'll call it 2 million. We'll call it that.
And Sam, in my opinion, and this is where I always feared like the NIL would hurt college sports, because kids coming out of high school, mostly you go to a situation where you don't really want to be there because the money's good, right? Or it's a situation that doesn't fit your skill set or whatever the case may be. Maybe you don't even like the town and you're gonna be miserable, whatever the case may be, but the money is good, right? So people around you, they need you. Hey, I'm gonna go do this. Well, for me, even if you're going 20s and we can't match that, the ability to go and get developed even further and maybe become a lottery pick the next year, which is essentially like we just talked about with Zeke Berry, betting on yourself. I think that's smart. I think that is genius. And you got to have a certain kind of confidence, right? To say, hey, I know I'm probably going to go in the first round 20s, but I think I can be better, right? I think I can get more. I think I can get more out of myself before I even enter the NBA. And I'm going to go back to college with Dusty May and make it happen.
Yeah, man. It was an outstanding show of recruiting. And then the other thing that it says kind of speaks to what I just talked about. Dusty said we could beat that second round money. Michigan, the recruiting that they did, and then, of course, they laid it down, the NIL package. All right? Michigan got down. Now, it's not like they go and spend on everybody. All right? So this is where it's different. So some schools, they go and they spend NIL indiscriminately. For
just
Buckeyes,
throwing around. You get NIL. You get NIL. You get NIL.
Yeah. For Buckeyes and Spartans, that means they just throw it around to everybody. You know, they're just frivolous with it. You know, they're non-discerning, right? You know, they're loose. I'm trying to dumb down the vocabulary.
Careless. Careless is a good word. Yeah.
All right. The lexicon is not that capacious for the.
Oh my God! I thought you were dumbing it down.
I'm dumbing it down for him, Devin. I'm dumbing it down for him.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but for the folks out there that need a little help when Michigan decides it's someone they really want, though, that they prioritize. Okay, now
lay that thing down.
Now we gonna get down. Oh, you not gonna be. And I said this when they were recruiting Bryce. They made
Wait, have those people apologized yet? All those people that was talking crazy about how your job is on the line because all this, have they apologized yet, publicly or otherwise?
Nah, man, they don't. Nah, man,
cowards.
Nah, they don't have it in them.
Cowards.
They don't have it in them to do it. I said Michigan is making it clear. Now we ain't gonna get beat on the money.
If you don't want to come, you don't want to come. But we ain't getting beat on the money.
We ain't getting beat on the money. Go back and check the tape. Way back at the beginning, his decision is not going to be made on money. Michigan is going to lay it down, so his decision will be made on other things, on the other factors.
Will we throw the ball? Will he get a chance to develop? All those different things.
Yeah.
Does he like Ann Arbor?
Yeah.
But it ain't going to be money.
Right. So we will remove that from your consideration. So you don't even got to think about that. Not even a concern, young fella.
Mm-hmm.
Not even a concern, Mr. and Mr. Underwood family. They just don't even have to think about that. Think about all of the other factors that you value in the decision-making process and let your decision be based on that. So when they say it wasn't a decision about money, trust and believe it wasn't a decision about money because it didn't have to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because Michigan made it so you didn't have to compare money because there was no comparison. So when Michigan decides to knock them out the box, I mean, that's why LSU was like, until Michigan comes in, that's not even fair with Michigan. Come on now.
Nah, it ain't fair. Those years in the SEC just cheating away. Now that it's legal, it ain't fair.
It ain't fair. Come on, man. Get out of here. Get out of here with that. And so then on the basketball side, Dusty came on and was very clear. Second round money, we got that. Other thing, we compete with the NBA.
Daniel says no.
Yeah, we're going after the best. They said, why would you go after this? Why would you even go after this guy? Because we're going after the number one guy. Mm-hmm. And the number one guy is deciding whether or not to go to the NBA. That's the guy I want. So that's the guy we're going to go after. We're going to put enough money in front of him to make that be a decision. And now he has to decide, where it's not a decision necessarily about the money. It's about, hey, can I improve my stock enough to say, okay, am I going to improve my financial situation enough to really make that be a serious consideration? And now I have proof behind me to know that it's not just lip service. Look what I just did. Mm-hmm. I just developed Danny Wolf in this way. And I think that really worked.
Because remember, Daniel said he was garbage and he was not going to be a first rounder. He be hating. He be hating. Remember he said that? Am I making that up?
You're not making that up.
He said, I'm not. What? First round? Y'all crazy. Y'all are crazy.
Yep, I do remember that.
Daniel was on that table about that. He was on the table. He was so far on the table about that. He was like kind of almost like a a matter of factly kind of laughing like, y'all just don't know the ball. Y'all are terrible. Y'all are the hype beasts of the world. Y'all clickbaits. Y'all don't know nothing about no basketball if y'all think this boy got a chance of sniffing the first round.
You sure
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Daniel's gonna be so mad at us after this episode. He be hating. He is gonna be so mad at us.
Hey, but DG, you got the receipts, bro. I mean,
we did. I remember everything Daniel been wrong about, and it's been a lot.
I think you're pretty spot on because he was very much. I mean,
man,
like Sam, why you telling all these people? Why you saying all this about Danny Wolf?
And you know what's so crazy? It was vanilla on air. It was worse before we got on air. He was letting us happen, wasn't he?
Oh man, we get off the show. It's like, Sam, why you telling all these fans that about Danny Wolf? Why you blowing him up, Sam? Come on, Sam, calm down about Danny Wolf, man. You gassing him up. You sounded too much like a fan about Danny Wolf, Sam. Come on, man. I like, dog. I mean, you see what the dude be doing?
Man, he be hating, man. Oh man, he is gonna be mad at you, Sam.
I mean, come on. I'm not making it up. I'm not making it up. So, but we love the brother. We love the brother.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Mrs. Horton.
Happy birthday. And so you have two guys who are number one in their respective rankings. Bryce in football recruiting,
in high school,
and Yaxel Lendeborg as far as in the transfer portal. So here is the question: will championship success follow? And let's start on the football side of things, DG.
Yeah.
Will championship success follow that recruiting and NIL success?
Yeah.
We just got some start time. Michigan starting out with 2 night games. The opener against New Mexico under the lights, 7:30. Then they go on the road, Norman, Oklahoma, down there against the Sooners. Assuming that the young fella wins the starting job. Don't want to be presumptuous, but I think he's the odds-on favorite. It'd be under the lights down there in Norman. He gets indoctrinated on the road.
Oh, he surely will. And the question is, do we see a championship come from this aggressive approach to NIL? Much before I get to where we see a championship, because obviously nobody knows, I think that it's super important for, if Bryce is the guy, for them to show competency in the passing game, right? Because and you can even go back to JJ. Obviously, when you really break down the film, JJ was outstanding in the passing game. However, when people say, hey, they didn't let him throw enough, I think that's a real thing. That's not something that's made up, right? Where you got a guy named in JJ who is number 1 in the country on 3rd and long, because he's always in 3rd and long. But not only that, because he's always producing on 3rd and long. And that's a tough thing to do, right? And that didn't happen until he was a junior football player, right? A guy who in his first year played some, got some experience, was able to kind of grow organically. Second year, played well, got him all the way to the playoff. In my opinion, aside from a few bad plays against TCU, I think he played really, really well, especially when you really get into the film and what he was able to do with his legs and in his arm. And then obviously taking him to the promised land and making amazing plays down the stretch after the turmoil of coach being, suspended and all these different things. I think we thought still, you didn't unlock his talent. I think everybody's going to see that for JJ at the next level, right? They're going to see him be able to unlock his talent with 2 number 1 wide receivers for Minnesota. We want to see competency, right? We want to see not necessarily forcing the passing game, but leaning into the passing game, right? You didn't get this number 1 quarterback to hand the ball off 32 times every single game. Right now, there will be instances where that is a thing that you have to do. And obviously winning comes first. However, for this aggressive approach on the football side to result in championships, you have to continuously improve the roster, right? You have to continuously improve the roster, which is going to allow for Bryce to improve. And if you don't do that, right, it's going to be a lot on his shoulders as a young player, right? A lot on his shoulders as a young player. Now, this year may be set. Maybe they get a few more pieces, but this year may be set on the weapons. So there is what it's going to be. But in the season, you have to show, hey, they are trying to throw the ball. They want to throw the football. Now you can start getting those older pieces, those older wide receivers, those older players that want to come play because they see the potential in Bryce Underwood, right? And they see not only the potential in him, but the potential in the offense as a whole, right? And when you see that potential, it's like, man, like I talked about with I got the kid's name already, the basketball player that we just got, right? Just like I talked about with him, it's not just you're coming to play a sport at Michigan, right? You get the backing of all that Michigan has to offer, right? You get to become a Michigan man, right? And for some people, in some cases, you get a chance to get a Michigan degree. All those things are important, and I think they are weigh a lot, right? And the goal, I think, obviously a championship, but I think the goal is for Bryce to be so good, right? And for them to show so much competency that players take less to come play. Hey, I understand I'm not going to make as much money on this front end, but coming to play here with Bryce Underwood, coming to play at the University of Michigan, my future is significantly more bright because I play there, whether it's from a development standpoint, a relationship standpoint with the alumni base, all those different things I think come into play. And if you can get to that, I think a championship is imminent, right? Going back and getting a championship, I think is imminent, but you have to make sure that you're patient for the development of the prize piece that is going to allow you to garner the talent from other places to make sure that roster is a roster that's capable of competing at the highest level, not just on defense, but on offense as well.
So Bryce is he is a special talent, man. He has, I think, beyond the physical characteristics, I think that he is I think that his preparation as a guy who doesn't just rest on his, a lot of physically gifted guys don't have the understanding of the work that you have to put in to be good.
Well, I think I'll take it a step further. Not necessarily don't understand. They know, but they're just so gifted, right? They know what needs to be done because it's too much. It's too many resources out there, right? It's not 1985, right? Everything's on the internet. You've seen the stories of Kobe Bryant. You've seen the stories of Tom Brady and how hard they work and all these different things. So you know what it takes, right? You know what you need to do, right? However, when you're so talented, it's like, yeah, Tom Brady wasn't that talented, so he had to do that, right? Yeah, well, this guy wasn't. I'm the greatest. I'm the greatest talent, so I don't have to do those things. And then sometimes you get hit in the face. You get punched in the face, and then you figure it out. And hopefully it's not too late, if that makes sense.
Okay, well, I'll accept that.
Yeah,
he has the understanding, and he does it anyway.
And he's willing. Yes,
he does it anyway. Like, that dude is legitimately one of,
like, if he's not successful, it's not going to be because he didn't give it everything he had on
Absolutely.
all fronts.
He is already one of the hardest workers on the team, like, hands down. And one of the most impressive things I've seen about him in the time that I've known him, like, so I went to the Howell game, right? And it was a game that they lost very narrowly. It was a regular season game. It didn't really affect them from the standpoint they were going to the playoffs. I don't really think it affects seeding that mightily. And you would have thought that it was a championship game they lost. I mean, the dude was in tears. He was inconsolable. Like, the care factor for this dude that they lost the game, I was like, man, that's how it's supposed to. You want your leader to be like that, to work that hard, to care about winning that much. When you're that good, when you're that highly regarded, for it to still mean that much. So I feel like the things that it takes for him to reach his potential, like he's gonna do those things. So let's start there.
Yeah.
Now, all that being said, DG, I think it's still a process to get there.
Oh, 100%. It's tough. Like, it's not just because you're talented and you do all the right things, that does not mean you're going to be successful. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. You can be tough. You can be talented, most talented. You can do all the work. You can be in great shape. You can do all the things right, and things still might not work out for you. You know what I mean? So let's be clear about that. However, like we just kind of outlined, it won't be because he didn't do those things.
Well, and it won't happen overnight. Is my
certainly won't happen overnight.
It won't happen as soon as he walks through the door. Yeah. Especially if when he walks through the door, it's not a whole bunch of great
elite talent.
Oh, let me say this the right way. All right, there's talent around him.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not saying that there aren't talented guys on the roster.
So, Sam, I don't want you to even say it. I'll say it because everybody, if you're being real about it, you understand the Michigan's roster is not offensively, for sure, not nearly as talented as an Ohio State or Penn State at this very moment. And that's not a slight to the guys, that, especially since we haven't seen a lot of them too. Some of the guys that may contribute, we never seen them. So how can you? That would be ridiculous. That would be disingenuous of us to say, yeah, man, this roster is amazing. And I think it would set Bryce up for failure as far as the opinions of other people, right? Because they'll think, oh, well, he's got a great roster. Why isn't he performing, right? And that's just not the case. And that's not an attack on anybody on the roster. The facts are, when you look at, hey, 5-star, whatever, and as much as I don't put a whole bunch of stock into that, it means something, because Alabama won a lot because they had all the 5 stars. Georgia won a lot because they had all the 5 stars, right? So every single 5-star is not overrated. Yeah. Not every single one. And so when you look at the rosters of Ohio State, of a Georgia, of a Alabama, on offense, Michigan doesn't quite compare just yet.
Yeah, I think Bryce has the kind of talent that can lift the guys around him, but as a freshman, to expect him to be able to do that to the level that he would have to do that to make them a championship team, I think it's a lot to expect that. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that he can't, but I'm saying to expect that outcome, I think is a lot.
I want to give you an example, right? Because we've given an example of Trevor Lawrence, right? And I think that's far one way, and this next one is far the other way, right? Trevor Lawrence had all the talent around him, won a national championship, and though he played well, the dudes, he had dudes. Let's go the other way. Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels goes to Arizona State, shows some promise, but could never get the athletes there, right? Could never get the athletes there, and so he eventually goes to LSU, obviously get the athletes around him, and now we see what Jayden Daniels is. Now, obviously, we're not saying that Bryce is going to have to go somewhere else to find that, the talent and whatnot, because Arizona State is not Michigan, right? However, look at the time it took for Jayden Daniels to become who he became, right? It doesn't happen overnight, and obviously, in my opinion and in most opinions, I would say that Bryce is significantly more talented than Jayden Daniels at the same age. We're not comparing him to Jayden Daniels right now, right? At the same age as a kid coming out of high school, he's bigger, he's faster, about the same speed probably. I mean, we don't know their 40s or whatnot, but there's not like a big gap, right? He's stronger, he's got a bigger arm, all those different things. And so when you see that, and you see that guy who, in my opinion, from all the people I've talked to, was a hard worker, right? Was a good teammate, all those different things. It took him a 5-6 years to become what he is now. And obviously, Michigan fans don't want to wait that long, but those are two extreme examples where you got Trevor Lawrence, who popped right away, and then you got Jayden Daniels that it took him a little bit longer to get it done. And if Bryce becomes somewhere in the middle, I think everybody will be happy with that.
Yeah, I think Michigan they got to find the winning formula around. See, so they're going to have a great defense, I think.
Of course, always.
Great defense. So you can play to that. I think they got to figure out a lot is riding on what kind of offensive line they have. Make no mistake about it. Can they run the football well enough? I think the running backs are going to be good enough. Can they run it well enough to have a competent passing game? You got to give him time.
Yeah.
Got to give a young fella time. I think they are going to have a good enough receivers for him to have a competent passing game. Donovan McCulley gives him a target out there.
Good player, man. He's a good player. He's a really good player.
Gives him a target out there. I think that Fred Moore is gonna take a positive step. I think that when you look at Andrew Marsh coming in as a freshman receiver,
and they have been so high on him in his ability.
Gives you a guy who I think is going to be a good freshman contributor.
Mm-hmm.
So I how much I value my guy. Devin says hey, listen, before he talks his game, he needs to play it.
Gotta play it.
Are you shaking your head, man?
Gotta play it. He gotta play it.
Are you shaking your head?
Gotta play it. I'm sure he would. I would hope he would agree.
But see, Smiles got to make some plays. He got to make some plays. But he's a veteran now.
He is. That's why, like, before it's like he's young, and you get grace, obviously. Now you're a leader in that room. You are a lead dog. You got to make some plays. There are no excuses.
Tis true.
Yeah.
And you know what?
You won't. I'm cool. I mean, within reason, obviously.
And then Lil Ronnie. I call him Lil Ronnie. But Mr.
Oh, Ronnie Bell's brother.
Yeah.
He's a good player. I like him. I think he's going to have a huge leap from last year to this year, and I think people are going to be so surprised at how reliable he's going to be this year.
Yeah, and listen, he missed the spring. He had a little surgery cleanup.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I think he's a guy who
I love his upside.
And
you want to know why? I think obviously he's got talent. He's tall. He's not faster than everybody, but he's got good speed, all those different things. He got good hands. He's a former quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're a former quarterback and you really dive into the position of wide receiver, you got some knowledge that those other wide receivers just don't have, right? And you just have a comfortability with being in the right spot all the time. And so obviously his brother was very comfortable being in the right spot. But when you are a quarterback, a former quarterback, Sam, I had never caught a pass in my life. I was the leading receiver on our team after one spring of practicing it. And it's not because I'm just this. I'm a decent talent, but it's not because I'm the greatest talent in the history of sports. It's because I knew exactly where to be, where the quarterback would want me because I played the position, So I think he's gonna have a huge leap.
Yeah, so they're gonna. My concern is how good is the offensive line going to be?
Mm-hmm.
Right, that has got to come together, and then they have got to be careful to not be so mesmerized by Bryce's talent.
Yeah,
that you
expect things that aren't realistic from a young guy.
Exactly.
Right, where it's like when you have an older guy who's talented and he's played a lot of football, you understand who understands everything inside and out. Right, you can put more on him. Right, you say, hey, here's this, make it happen, man. You talented, you've been here. But for a young guy, even though he's talented, we talked about Trevor Lawrence. Look at Trevor Lawrence and how they dealt with that situation. He wasn't the starter right away. Right, they go on to win the championship because they brought him along nice and slow. Right, they brought him along nice and slow, allowed him to make mistakes and grow. And once they felt, and that'll be up to them. Right, it's not up to us. And honestly, I don't feel like it's up to Bryce. I think it's up to the professionals who are making. I mean, I guess Bryce is making millions of dollars too, but the millions of dollars coaches, it's up to them to understand how his mind works, how he's developing, and know when, hey, he's the guy and he can handle more. And it's a very delicate thing, but that's why they get paid so much, right? That's why they get paid so much, and they've got to figure that out. And I think if they do, the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit because they've proven that they can win with less.
Yeah.
Right. Win with less. And if you get more, I mean, who knows?
Unfortunately, there's more pressure on Bryce.
Yeah, of course.
There was on Trevor Lawrence to be the guy.
Well, yeah, because Clemson's team was already really, really good.
Exactly.
Right. With Kelly Bryant, they went to the playoff and really they competed very well. They didn't get blown out or anything like that. Michigan, on the other hand, it had a down year.
And understand what I mean. There was a lot of pressure. So the pressure was on Trevor Lawrence to make them to win the championship.
Of course, yes.
But what I'm saying is the pressure is on Bryce to basically be the offense.
Of course.
To be
which
the
is
best
extremely unfair. Which is extremely unfair. And if they approach it that way, obviously everybody in the chat, not me, not you, but most casual fans and hardcore fans, yeah, they see this kid, they see this talent, and they want the offense to be him. And when you're saying they can't get mesmerized by his talent, they can't be the people in the chat. Right. They can't be the super fans. They have to make sure that they prepare him the proper way, and it's a delicate process.
Yeah, now here's the catch-22, and you and I
told you I still don't know what that means.
You don't like it.
What I know, but what does catch-22 means? Can we just spend a second and explain that saying? Because if you don't explain that saying, I'm not gonna know what you're talking about.
Because
what is catch-22?
I know what they're gonna do is it's like if you're gonna do something and it's gonna be like, if I do this, it is something that lends itself to something that I know works for me, but it's also something that harms me at the same time.
All right? Okay, is this like, so we know that him throwing the ball would help us, but maybe his development might be harmed by doing that?
Right. So what I'm about to say is they're going to get in the season and they're going to, knowing Sharon like I do, he's a coach.
Mm-hmm.
He know he can't go on the road against Oklahoma and have a freshman quarterback and throw the football 50 times. He's going to get in there and he's going to say, we got to run this football and we got to play defense.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now that's the catch-22, because if you get in this season and you're running the football, 40 times a game.
I get it. It's a double-edged sword, basically.
Yeah, you're running the football 45 times a game.
The thing we talked about, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get the roster build where guys are saying, "Oh, they're throwing the ball now."
Yeah, you got all of a sudden these guys that you want to get come play receiver for you. They're gonna say, "Oh, like Skylar." So I give you a perfect example. Skylar Bell, the receiver from Connecticut. They were trying to get him out the portal, right? Now, of course, Michigan should be able to get a receiver from Connecticut.
Of course.
From the portal. The money they got, you can get a receiver from Connecticut. He stayed at UConn, right? Now, there were other factors at play. Like, he was not going to be able to go through spring ball because of the credit transfer. People are always complaining about the academics and the admissions. He was going to have to go through semester at UConn to be able to transfer.
Mm-hmm.
So he was going to take a leap of faith that they're going to be different offensively just based on what they say.
Mm.
And he was like, nah, man.
I
can't go through spring ball. Nah, man. I don't care what the NIL is. No. I said, UConn, I had a good season. I put up stats. And basically, this season is it. I got to put up stats this year because this is my last year.
Yeah.
So I'm not.
That's tough ass. That's tough to add. For a kid to make that decision. As much as we talk about betting on yourself, there's betting on yourself, and then there's a little bit of insanity.
Yeah. And so people were like, "Well, why can't Michigan get a receiver from UConn? That's just bad recruiting."
No,
man. He was like, "I'm not about to come to Michigan and I can't go through spring ball and even see what it's about." No, I don't care what they about.
Because if he comes after spring ball, he's locked in, and now you're locked in, and you're getting 3 targets a game, if that, 2 of them screens. Now you're looking crazy, like, oh my God, I can't believe I did this. I had a good situation going on in UConn. You know what I mean? So I completely understand.
Yeah. So it's like, it's going to be you talk about the formula. Like they have got to achieve balance. They got to be able to grow him up, not put a lot of pressure on him at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's a lot riding. I keep coming back to that offensive line, playing to that defense. And I think it adds up to a team that can legitimately contend for a playoff spot, but I don't think it adds up to championship success.
You know what's going to be cool?
Not national championship, but not even Big Ten championship success.
You know what's going to be cool, though, if they play this correctly, because what people don't know, he was listed as a pro-style quarterback. What people don't know is he's an elite runner, right? He's got elite running ability. Like, you remember we used to talk about the kids last year, Alex Orji, I used to tell you this. He was big and strong and fast in these things, but he had bad running instincts. This is not the case with Bryce Underwood. Great running instincts, the ability to get out of trouble, and not just get out of trouble to throw, but get out of trouble to make plays down the field with his legs. And in the design quarterback run game, right? You don't usually see pro-style quarterbacks say, oh, yeah, let's design run game. And the thing is, we've only talked about how talented he is as a thrower, as a passer. However, his ability as a runner, I think, is going to be what allows this transition in this growing and this maturation to grow the organic way that I think it should, right? Being able to put him in the quarterback power, right? Quarterback outside zone, right? All those different things, quarterback trap, get a pulling guard around, get him that read option. He's going to be able to make big plays, and it's going to add to the comfortability that he feels in the passing game. And I think that's going to blow this offense wide open. And now you get that growth, right? That comfortable growth, because, you always hear quarterbacks and players talk about, man, I need to get that first hit, right? Well, if you can get into a situation where you're not just being asked to drop back and pass at an elite level on a level that you've never played at. However, as a mover, as an athlete, he can play on that elite level from day one, right? Because that's all instincts. And so if they allow themselves to lean into that right now, you got to make sure you protect him some and make sure that he's not putting himself in harm's way, teaching him to slide, different things like that. However, if they can lean into that some, and it's going to be tough to teach him how to slide, I'm just telling you, because, us from Detroit, we just not sliding types. I can just tell you that. However, they gotta, hey, bring out the slip and slide in the summer and teach him how to slide. Make sure you get down and protect yourself, because that's a weapon that's going to allow him to continue to get comfortable. And like you talked about, by the end of the year, it could be championship, right? They could have an opportunity to compete for what the ultimate prize is.
Well, see, you don't have to win the Big Ten championship to be in the playoff.
Of course.
And so that's what I mean. I don't necessarily think this year spells championship success, but I do think that they can make the playoff.
Yeah,
I do think that they can make the playoff. But what you bring up is, I think, is a great point, and that's another part of the formula that they got to figure out. That's going to be real interesting, because this is also a part of the equation that could help the offensive line. Mm-hmm. Like, how much do you run him? How much do you run Bryce? Mm-hmm. Because he is a dynamic threat as a runner, but with that comes risk.
Yeah.
So how do you balance that, DG?
Well, we don't get paid for that. That's for them to figure out. But yeah, I think obviously they'll have the bet. They'll see him, and the thing is, I just really wish they can find a way to get him hit before the first game, before he gets two night games in a row. I just really they got to find a way for him to get hit, to feel what it feels like to go Q power and a middle linebacker is about to tackle you. You didn't see him. You didn't have time to slide. Or go outside zone, speed option, where you got to pitch that ball and the guy's taking your face off while you're pitching it, right, and making that throw. Or in the pocket throwing with the guy hitting you right in the mouth. It's just so hard to manufacture that, because you can't just risk getting your quarterback hurt in practice so much, right? And so for me, it was and Coach Rod's offense. And it's so funny. I was at Big 12 spring meetings. Got a chance to sit with Coach Rod for a very long time. Love the guy, obviously. But in my first spring, which was Denard's second spring, it technically was Denard's first spring because he didn't come early as a freshman. We were live. The quarterbacks were live. And it obviously wasn't for Tate Forcier because he had played the entire year the year before, right? Coach Rod needed to know what he had and if we were capable of dealing with the pressure, because football is not the same if you're not getting hit. It's 7-on-7, and 7-on-7 is not football or flag, right? Everybody talk about the Olympics, totally different sport. Now, the guy that's the quarterback for the Flag USA, he's tripping, talking about he's better than Lamar Jackson and different things like that. Kids grow up playing flag crazy, and they're significantly better than you. However, it's a different sport because people take your head off, right? So a football player can play flag, but a flag player can't just play football. So it's just, I'm very interested to see how they deal with this, because I know they know this, right? They're getting paid all this money because I hope they know that he needs to be hit at some point. But how do you create an atmosphere where the injury risk is low, but you still give him that opportunity to feel what it's like to play college football, because it's something that he just has never felt ever, right? So that's the thing that I really am interested to see how that shakes out.
Yeah, so here's the thing, because we need to shift over to the basketball side of things. Now, I do think, I said, on the football side of things, I think it's more playoff is a reasonable expectation as opposed to any sort of championship this year, because I think it'll be a gradual thing where they grow and maybe drop a couple of games, but have a chance at the playoff. On the basketball side of things, with the way things have come together, getting Yaks in the fold, I think Purdue was without question the favorite in the Big Ten, getting everybody back. Braden Smith back, Trey Kaufman-Renn back. They were the preeminent favorite to win the Big Ten. But you add Yaxel Lendeborg to the fold for Michigan, and they already had gotten Marez Johnson in the portal, Elliot Cadeau in the portal, Ade Mara in the portal, right? They had, Michigan had an excellent portal class already, and you just got the number one portal guy. You got Roddy Gale back. You got Namari Burnett and his shooting back. Will Cheddar decided, to stay, and there was some interest in Will Cheddar. That's the thing. People got to realize people try to entice your guys in the portal. You saw Trey go in the portal, right? So Michigan was at LJK sign back. I think that Michigan and Purdue now are co-favorites in the Big Ten. I know Daniel disagrees. He's like, "Oh, come on, man. Who's talking about Michigan winning the championship?" Yeah, Daniel,
How can he say that when they just won the championship?
because you got Trey leaving.
Well, yeah, last year before the season, nobody knew what Michigan. It was a whole new roster. This guy's proven that he can coach. Can you just have some faith, Daniel?
Yeah, so I think this makes Michigan not only a threat to win the Big Ten, right there with Purdue. I know people are. There was a question on CBS Sports this morning: is Michigan a Final Four contender? I think absolutely they are. Absolutely they are, because now you have a legitimate Big Ten Player of the Year candidate in Yaxel Lendeborg. He is right there with vying as one of the best players in the country. And so, man, I think that Dusty May has positioned himself, because here's one of the matchups that I am looking forward to seeing the most. The toughest matchup on the floor for Michigan against Purdue was Trey Kaufman-Renn. They couldn't guard him. I mean, I love Vlad. Vlad had himself an outstanding year. He couldn't check the dude. I mean, I remember the first time they played him, Vlad was a bit ill. I gave him benefit of the doubt. He was coming off the flu when they were down there. They were at Purdue. They got blown out. They came back here, and I remember watching the game. I'm like, man, he down there getting beasted. He not sick today. And they came out in the second half, and that's
sick today.
Yeah. And they went and they called timeout. I can't remember if it was timeout or TV timeout or what. And this is the first, like, Dusty is like this laid back dude, and you always see him chill. And Dusty was like, "Hey, man, what the hell?" Like, you don't really see Dusty get down like that, but he was like, Dusty ain't that much taller than me. He was like almost jumping up in Vlad's face, like, "Hey, man, you can't just let this dude come in your house and punk you like this. Like,
yeah,
like, come on, man." And you saw Vlad start to give it back to him. It's like, okay, I concede that sometimes the dude that you're facing is just physically a mismatch.
Yeah.
Like, that just happens sometimes.
Yeah, some people are tough cover.
Yeah. And so but what we need from you is for it to not just be him giving it to you the whole game. Just give us,
just taking it.
Yeah, give us something on the other end. Maybe you can't stop him, but make him check you on the other end.
Yeah.
So, like, at halftime, the dude had like 14 points and 8 boards, and Vlad had like 2 points. Like, come on, man, give us something. And so Vlad finished the game, and he had like 10 points and 6 points. So do that, right?
Yeah.
Well,
compete. All we asking is for you to compete.
now you got Marez Johnson. Marez Johnson coming on from Illinois. And no, that's not happening today. There's no beasting happening in the paint now that Marez Johnson is in the house. So that matchup is going to be different when they face one another. When Michigan and Purdue do business, when they do battle, Trey Kaufman-Wren ain't having that kind of party. So I'm saying that, if they are going to have success, it's going to have to be Braden Smith now. Because I think Trey Kaufman-Wren just got canceled by the combination of, especially Marez Johnson being in the fold. They're going to either have to get me in foul trouble or something. Because they just got a dude that you just absolutely cannot punk in the fold. And now you add Yaxel Lendeborg to the fold. Michigan's primary concern on this team is where will their shooting come from? That is legitimate. If you're looking for a weakness on this team, it is where the consistency from beyond the arc come from. I'm not saying that they won't have it, but the only proven shooting that they have right now, Namari Burnett is back, and then you got Will Cheddar off the bench, does give you some shooting, but they're going to need more than that.
Not like Will Cheddar.
To really emerge. Now, I think, maybe Yax can give you some of that. LJ Kason, will he be an improved shooter? Right? They're going to need more guys to show that they can knock it down on at a 35% clip for this team to really truly be what we think they can be. And that, to me, that's a Final Four team. But like you said, Michigan won the Big Ten championship last year. I think that this team will have championship success this year. I think, but when push comes to shove, they will either be Big Ten regular season champ or Big Ten tournament champ. And I think that they will be in Final Four contention. I'm hedging my bet. I haven't made a Final Four call yet, but they will have some championship, whether it's Big Ten regular season championship, Big Ten tournament championship, or national championship. One of those championships will be in Ann Arbor next year. At least one of them. DG on the basketball side of things, I think.
Yeah, one thing that, aside from Michigan basketball itself, think about what we're living in right now. People that live in Michigan and enjoy the sports that are in Michigan. Michigan football, national championship 2 years ago. And Michigan football will be Michigan football. Even when Michigan football isn't good, right? It's still good. It's great. Selling out. It's all good. Michigan basketball, Big Ten championship. Lions, Tigers, Pistons. I think the Red Wings are good too, right?
And no, they weren't. Yeah, it's so bad.
But they're usually pretty good, right?
They haven't been for a minute. They trying to fire Steve.
Well, it's coming back. Come on now. Don't you Daniel me. Don't you Daniel me.
I'm just telling you the facts. They try
Red Wings coming back. But for the most part, sports in this state are outstanding. Obviously, schools who obviously we shouldn't mention, they don't really matter as much. But for us to be living, did you ever see a time where you would be living in all these sports and it will be so good? Obviously, the other sports at Michigan are good too, but like every major sport for the most part is like outstanding. Yeah. Outstanding, vying for a championship.
Yeah, no, it's not in my lifetime have we seen. Not in my lifetime can I remember seeing the Pistons, Lions, and Tigers all be good at the same time. Like this is uncharted territory. Just need the wing. Pistons, Lions, Tigers, and Michigan all at the same time. Man, no, it's
a great time to be alive.
It is a great time to be alive. And so, yeah, I said this before. Chrysler and give a shout out to the women's basketball team.
Oh yeah,
being the best women's basketball class of all time. They got a big portal addition from UCLA, a top 20 player out of high school, and one of the top players in the portal themselves as well. So they did work Kim Barnes-Rico and her staff. So Chrysler is going to be electric. Let's go. So looking forward to that.
Let's go.
See about them. They were in the tournament and looking to make some more noise. So really looking forward to being over at Chrysler Arena.
Can I get a ticket? Can I come? Can I come with you? Because
Yeah,
you got VIP seating and all that. I don't want to have to go. I don't want to have to go to Gen Pop. My knees, I'm a little taller, so the seats they don't fit me like how I need them to fit me. I need to be where you at. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, man, we'll make it happen. Hey, listen. The basketball staff, the women's staff, man, we could call Kim right now, and she'll hook it up. And the basketball staff is like that too.
Let's do it. Just let me know. I'm there. That's during the week. I'm here. I'm good to go.
Yeah, they'll definitely hook it up. I mean, it's gonna be a lot harder. The tickets are gonna be a lot harder to come by in basketball now. I mean, they big time, but they won't.
Hold on, not saying
they won't big time UDG.
Nah.
They won't big time UDG. They might big time Daniel because Daniel, he be hating. Can you put that?
He be hating.
Can you put that up?
They go big time Daniel for sure because
he be hating. Him. They might big time Daniel.
He be hating.
But they won't big time UDG.
Yeah.
So we will see. But listen, we got to get to the sponsor. We want to shout out our friends over at Golden Limo and their great ambassador, one more time, who we talked about earlier, Zeke Berry, their brand ambassador for the year. If you have ground transportation needs, you need only reach out to our friends at Golden Limo at goldenlimo.com, whether that be airport transport, game day transport, which is coming around the corner. I use them when it comes to transportation for my mom. That is one of the things that I think a lot of people in my situation for your aging parents that might need transportation to their medical appointments because they have accommodations for people who might need assistance getting around. They have vehicles that can accommodate people with those kinds of needs as well. They are truly a transportation service that can meet any need, whether that's large group transportation, luxury transport, airport transport, you name it. Team transport like Michigan football rides on Golden, Michigan basketball rides on Golden, you name it, they can accommodate you. Again, that is goldenlimo.com. They will take care of all of your needs. Oh, and then, of course, that's not just in Southeast Michigan. That is anywhere in the country, anywhere across the globe. When I went to Rome, when I went to Paris, I rode on Golden. They were able to set up transport through their transportation partners, and it worked out with service that was truly golden. Whether it was as soon as I got to the airport, bags to the vehicle. As soon as I got to the back to the airport, they were waiting on me, just like it was when I was at Metro Airport. That is the Golden Limo difference. Again, that is at goldenlimo.com, or you can reach out to them by giving them a call at 734-668-8282. And with that, I mentioned before at the beginning of the show, our other great sponsor, the Ann Arbor Sports Commission. They are always actively working to help bring great sporting events to our area here in Washtenaw County. They most recently, on our last episode, talked about the impact of Michigan football and the economic impact of Michigan football, and just how many millions of dollars it's responsible for injecting into this area. Well, it's not just Michigan football that infuses dollars into this area. There are other great events that help with in bringing money into the area as well. One of those events that's coming to town that they're helping out with is the NAIA Women's Golf Championships. And so we had on our show here recently, Megan Hughes and Zachary Buck on with us recently to talk about that great event, to kind of tell us about not only that event coming to town and all the volunteers that help out with it, but also the economic impact that it has on the community as well, because they do such great work, not only with partnering with organizations that come to the area and bring those sporting events to the area, but also with involving volunteers when it comes to getting them involved and helping those helping those organizations put those events on. That's another great service that our friends at the Ann Arbor Sports Commission are responsible for as well. So I got a chance to talk to Megan and Zach here recently. They came on the show to really bring that to you all, the people. And so here they are telling you about that great event and other great events that are going to be coming to Washtenaw County here in the very near future. Here are Megan and Zach. And we are back, folks. You guys know that this show would not be possible without our great sponsors here at Steady Droppin Dimes. One of them, our great partners at the Ann Arbor Sports Commission. We talk all the time about the great events that come to this area. Washtenaw County is not all about the University of Michigan, but you guys know, though, great drivers of the community as far as sports are concerned. The great study that the Ann Arbor Sports Commission, brought about last week when we told you about all of the dollars that the Michigan football brings into Washtenaw County, of course. But many sports come to this area that the Ann Arbor Sports Commission helps bring to the community. Joining us again to tell us about another great event coming to this area, our friends at the Ann Arbor Sports Commission. Of course, we start to call her a co-host now. She's here so often. The director of the Ann Arbor Sports Commission, Megan Hughes, is with us again. Megan, how are you?
I'm great, Sam. How are you doing?
Great. Always great to have you with us, because every time you come, you're telling us about another great event coming to this area. One of the great things, is so many great things to do around Michigan, but for folks in this community, you want to do things without having to leave the Washtenaw County area. So that's the great thing. When you come, you tell us about things we can do right here in this area.
Yes, and we're excited to focus on golf this week. Especially, it looks like the weather has finally made a turn, and I was able to actually go out golfing this weekend finally, so that was really nice. So we're excited to talk about the NAIA Women's Golf Championship that we hosted 2 weeks ago, and then another golf event that we have coming in June.
Yeah, there you go. And so you always lately come with friends, and joining us for the first time, making his debut here on Steady Droppin Dimes, is the sport event manager at the Ann Arbor Sports Commission, Zach Buck. So Zach, welcome, and thanks for joining us here on the show.
Thanks, Sam. Really appreciate it, and excited to get to talk some golf with y'all.
Yeah. So listen, the fellas are gonna, let's just get it out of the way. Everyone's gonna joke me. So my golf game is non-existent, Zach. It's like below a game. They don't even call it a game. They warn people when I'm about to come to the course. So I already got it out of the way before. But I will say this: the best shot I ever hit came over at Eagle Crest. Best shot I ever hit. Absolutely. I mean, it's something about the setting. I mean, looking out over the water. I mean, it's something about it. It was the straightest shot I ever hit, the longest shot I ever hit. Something about being over in Ipsy. It just brought something out of me. I don't know what it was.
It's those.
Isn't it funny? You never forget that one shot.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So this again, we have an opportunity to tell the folks again about a great event that you guys already were a part of, and then another great event that's coming to town. So let's bring people into the under the umbrella and tell them what it's all about.
So we were able to host the NAIA Women's Golf Championship a few weeks ago, another event partnering with NAIA, bringing collegiate teams to Washtenaw County. We had 30 golf teams here and 4 individuals that qualified on their own. We had teams as far as California, British Columbia, far and wide, everybody came here to play at Eagle Crest, stayed here for 5 to 6 nights, depending on when they arrived. And it was also great because they weren't allowed to practice at Eagle Crest, so they were able to enjoy some of our other great golf courses like Stonebridge and Washtenaw Country Club there on Washtenaw. So it was a great event to get people around town. And Zach, we couldn't have made it happen without Zach, because I help bring the events here, but Zach is the important detail in the event planning week of, and all the details that make it special and executed. So Zach's here today to kind of show off all the things he does to make the event special and want to keep coming back. So I'm happy to have Zach. And yes, you're right, Sam. I don't like having all the spotlight on me. So I keep bringing guest stars, and Zach, I'm happy to have this week.
All right, so let's do this in stages. So you talked about having to have the teams, because they obviously can't practice. You want to they compete at Eagle Crest. So being all around the area, 30 teams, 6 individuals, around the area, 4 to 6 nights. What was the economic impact of the event on the area?
So the estimated economic impact for that week was over $400,000 to our restaurants, golf courses, hotels. So yeah, it was a good event for Washtenaw County.
Terrific. Again, we talk all about it. The sports, what an engine it is, an economic engine it is for this community. Dollars, when you are able to put the actual dollars to it, it really, really drives it home. So Zach, the planning for an event like this, tell us what goes into it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Really, it's being the community connector for all the groups coming in. So part of it is helping groups like the NAIA have a great experience and want to host their championship here and more of their championships here. So it's connecting them with the golf courses in the area, connecting teams with places to eat, like we talked about with the economic impact. And then even though we realize that they're here to compete, they still want to have fun. And, we look at it as they're moving into Washtenaw County for that week. How can we give them the best possible experience? So it's really being that connector to make sure they have a great experience, whether that's helping put signage up around the course on the day of, whether it's, making sure that athletes, coaches, teams, everyone gets a gift so they feel welcome. And then on top of it, just making sure that they have the resources to have the best time in Washtenaw County. So with that goes with a lot of planning and meetings prior with the NAIA, with some tournament officials we bring in, just to make sure everyone's on the same page when they come into Eagle Crest for the championship. And we're just here to make sure they have a great time and enjoy their time in Washtenaw County.
Yeah, and what I find is once people get here and see the course, see this area, I think it's one of the, I'm not even a golf guy, and I think it's one of the hidden gems that it's like, wow, this is Ypsilanti. You don't even realize it until you get here and see it.
I completely
Sam,
agree.
I have to give a special shout out to Eagle Crest too, to Mark on their team, their PGA pro. He was on every meeting, him and his team there 4 a.m., 5 a.m. every day, making sure the course was in great shape, helping plan, execute. So a huge shout out to Eagle Crest too, to helping us make this event a success as we host this event again next year. And they're excited to host and make notes from this year on how we can make it even better.
Yeah, and so you put on a great event like this. It gets you back in the rotation, to get them back, and then it gets other events. So what's the next event that next golf event that you're going to be bringing here to Washtenaw County?
So we, for the 3rd year, this will be hosting this at Leslie Golf Course here in the county, one of my favorite golf courses. And Doug and Andrew there have been a great partner in that event. So this will be the 3rd year for the Ann Arbor Junior Golf Association Ann Arbor Open, that brings approximately 170 golfers, youth golfers, to Ann Arbor. For this year, it will be June 17th through the 19th. And it will be the 3rd and final year for now. And What's a little different about this event is we are not as on planning this event, but still Zach, as he'll mention, puts a special touch to make sure that they have a great experience.
So Zach, what about planning for this event?
Yeah, as Megan mentioned, this one we're here to support in any way possible. For us, like we mentioned, is making them feel welcome. We'd like to make sure there's signage around so that way it feels like it has that championship experience. So for all those 174 golfers coming to town, we want them to feel that they're a part of something special. With the AJGA and being junior golfers, a lot of them, getting into the sport, we want to make them feel like this, this is it compared to as they continue on in their golf career. So for us is making sure we have that welcoming experience. We meet with the AJGA on a monthly basis just to go through the needs that they have for their event, and then connect them with those people that can help out best, or jump in as needed to see how we can help and make sure that their Ann Arbor Open goes off without any problems.
So you guys, for this event, almost kind of like a concierge service, sort of, kind of, in that.
Yeah.
But that's the thing about about the Ann Arbor Sports Commission when it comes to bringing events to town. We were talking to Daniel about this. He was thinking about trying to get the AAU organizations to bring an AAU event to town, because they already have like a ready-made events. They just need like locations. So if you already have an event and you just need locations, you can call up the Ann Arbor Sports Commission and you guys can help arrange locations. So it's that kind of thing, right? The way the commission works, you can kind of meet events kind of where they are, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, Zach, you go.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah. And another thing that we also help out with is with these events, finding volunteers in the local area, especially with golf and just having those little unique positions that might not everyone might know about or might hear about. We want to get people in the community involved and help drive them to the event and get them to volunteer in any way possible, or just, help them see that these events do matter to the community, and we want them involved as well.
Yeah, so if people in the community, people watching, people listening on the radio or listening on our podcast, they're interested in volunteering, how might they do that? Where can they get information on, joining up and volunteering for one of these events?
AnnArborSports.org. So on our website, you can find a spot to volunteer. We get your information. Then when those opportunities come about, you'll get an email from Zach, and we will be sending those. And we will have a lot of volunteer opportunities coming in July with US Rowing's Row Fest, really pushing that one. So a lot of fun opportunities for that. So if you reach out to us, we'd love to have you at this 10-day long rowing national event on Ford Lake Cup in July.
Ah, there you go. All right. So, but sticking with golf for a minute, we're going to remind you guys one more time about Row Fest. So you remember, great volunteer opportunities coming up for that. But what events are you hosting next year for golf, to remind people about that?
So next year we will be continuing hosting the Women's Golf Championships with NAIA at Eagle Crest next May. So we are really excited to continue hosting that amazing event. And then we are excited that Barton Hills has been selected to host the USGA Senior Women's Open. So Barton Hills is hosting that, and we've been working with them on seeing how we can help with the event. So Barton, they made the magic happen on their own, but we are still here to help and be a service to help them and help get the volunteers that are needed. Golf has a lot of needs, and it's really exciting that the USGA has selected Ann Arbor for this event.
That is terrific. And, listen, you don't have to be a golf aficionado to know that this is a great area, a terrific area for golf. And it's great to see events coming around town. I mean, you had the Volvic a few years ago, and then to see all of these other events coming back to town and over again, like this NAIA event, and now you have this USGA event coming over to Barton next year. So that is terrific news. And of course, you can find out more information. Go over to the commission website, annarbor.org/sports commission. Again, annarbor.org/sports commission. And that, of course, this is your cue again, Megan, where you can tell people all about volunteering.
Yeah, well, Sam, I'm almost wondering if our next podcast needs to be on the golf course together. You're like, maybe we need to go play golf and we can kind of go back and forth on how each other are doing.
Oh, wait. That sounds like a setup. Are you a good golfer though? See,
I'm just okay. I took up golf in 2019, but I'm becoming kind of obsessed. But no, it's just like everybody else's golf game. I can have a good day and then the most awful day that I want to quit golf.
Sam, she says that to everyone.
Yes, that looks good next to me. How about you, Zach? You a good golfer?
I think me and you would be competing to see who does worse. I'll be honest.
All right. Well, if Zach and I can both be there at the same time, then maybe.
There we go.
Maybe that'll
but yes, thank you, Sam, for having us. Looking forward to next time. And yes, please, if you are interested in any sports, learning new sports, anything, please volunteer. You get to work with Zach and I, and we are lots of fun, along with all the other volunteers in Washtenaw County. And it's a great way just to get out in the community and give back a little bit.
Absolutely. Again, folks, for all of the information on events coming to town, information on volunteering for those events, you can always check out the website, annarbor.org/sports commission. The events calendar is there. The volunteer information is there. And of course, if you want to bring events to Washtenaw County, information on that is on the website as well. So be sure to check it out. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And that will do it for this edition of Droppin Dimes. I want to make sure I was unmuted, and I am. So for DG and for Daniel Horton, who was not with us on this edition of the show, yes, he does hate a lot. He would ordinarily be on the show. You would think he'd be on the basketball show, right? This festive occasion, this occasion where Michigan got the #1 guy in the portal, this occasion where you would think he would co-sign my proclamation that Michigan will contend for the Big Ten championship. I don't know if Daniel really agrees with that. Yeah, Michigan will contend for it's Michigan and Purdue, 1 and 1A. And I don't necessarily agree that Purdue is the one. Maybe Michigan is the one. You know, Purdue kind of faded down the stretch at the end of last season. They certainly faded in the postseason as well. Are they really improved over last year, or are we just giving them credit for continuity? Continuity does mean something, but I mean, a year better Trey Kaufman-Wren matters more against other teams. I don't think it matters as much when you consider how improved Michigan will be defensively in the post this year. I respect the hell out of Braden Smith, make no mistake. I think he's one of, if not the best point guards in the country. But I think that Michigan, with the versatility that they have, I think that they will be improved defensively this year. They're going to be able to throw a lot of bodies. I wonder how deep their rotation will be this year. It's not like I understand the weaknesses. 3-point shooting, who are their go-getter guy other than Yax, who they have a legit go-to guy. But will LJ Kason be the guy that I think he can be this year? Will he make the leap in year 2 that we saw? Trey Donaldson made a leap from year 1 to year 2. And by the end of the year, he was a guy that was a major contributor, and not as consistent as maybe we would have liked for him to be, but was a guy who made big time plays for them at the end of the season. But how is this for a grand proclamation? I think that LJ Kason can be better than Trey was at the end of last season. LJ Kayson is better off the bounce than Trey. Now, can he be as good a shooter? Can he be as good a shooter as Trey? That is the test. He was a guy that showed flashes. I think his first game, maybe his first or second game, he hit 4 or 5 threes, and then we didn't see him really be able to connect with any consistency from distance. The rest of the season. Talked to Dusty about it, and he said, he showed in practice and in warm-ups, that he could shoot the basketball, just never really translated in games for whatever reason. He said, but we know he can shoot the basketball. He said he's shown in the offseason. He said between the time that they were put out of the tournament and the time they got back together, he said he looked like he had grown a lot in just that few week span. But when I look at him, I mean, even last year, he was their best guy off the bounce. But as a guy who can get downhill, their most explosive guy with the basketball in his hands, you need a guy, a guard who can just attack without a ball screen. He's that dude. We saw it in the A&M game. They don't win that game. I mean, we think about that game as, Roddy was the dude. Roddy was the guy. But they don't even get to Roddy being the hero if LJ Kayson doesn't keep him in the game. I'm looking for him to make a big leap this year. That was another thing today. Let me read you the text. It's like, what does that mean, Sam? What does that mean? What do you mean? What kind of leap, Sam? How much of a leap? How much of a leap you looking for LJ to make? Daniel, I think you're going to make a leap. Year 1 to year 2. You see guys make big leaps from year 1 to year 2. We saw from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, you saw him not be as much freshman-like as we saw him be early in the year. You get on the floor and, you just saw him play too fast. Everything was at high speed. You wanted just the pace of his game kind of slowed down. And then you saw Dusty start to rely on him. The staff started to rely on him more as the season progressed. You started to see him be more responsible on the defensive end of the floor. Now, I think that kept him on the floor more too. I thought that was one of the reasons why you saw, Justin Pippen get more minutes, was because you could count on him to get his defensive assignments down early in the season, more so than you could LJ. Later in the season, you could kind of rely on, okay, he's not going to bust on either end. And then that A&M game, it's like, man, you just needed a guy who was just, hey, man, look, we need somebody that's going to go get us a bucket, that's going to be aggressive. That the magnitude of the moment is not going to beat them down, because Michigan was in a huge rut, in a huge hole, and the only guy that wasn't affected by it in that moment was LJ Kayson. Now, you need some guy, somebody that you can give the ball to that can just go get it and doesn't necessarily need a ball screen to do it. Now, you got a go-to guy in Yaxel Lendeborg. It'd be great if you have 2 dudes that you can get a ball to and they can go get it done. And hoping that LJ Kayson can emerge as that other guy. Looking for that leap. So, yeah, man. Yeah, Daniel. I'm saying that Michigan is going to win a Big Ten championship, or is going to win a championship on the basketball side. Big Ten regular season, Big Ten tournament, or national. One of those championships is coming through Ann Arbor. Will it be multiple? But it's not going. I mean, Purdue is not just going to waltz in and just run roughshod. And then let me just let history be your guide. When is the last time Purdue did what they were expected to do from a championship standpoint? Just they were expected to run roughshod, and they just did so unencumbered. That happens more so in the conference than it does in the postseason. So if you tell me you think that they're gonna win the Big Ten regular season, I might give you some grace on that. But I wouldn't give it to you in the Big Ten tournament, because once you get in that postseason, that's not Purdue's time, and certainly not the NCAA tournament. They just don't get it done when it comes to tournament time. That's like their kryptonite. As much as I respect Paint, and I respect the hell out of Matt Painter more so than any other non-Michigan coach. So that's another thing. I could go on and on. I've already gone too long with this show, though. I love you guys that much, but we got to get out of here. We got to cut this. I think we got one more episode this season, right? So we will see you next week. I got to count the episodes. It might be 2 more, but I think it's just one more episode. So in case it's one more, we'll see you on next week's episode, the season closing episode, I think, of Steady Droppin Dimes. We'll see you then, folks.